Hello, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to show you a nice dice game by the name of Noch Mal, which I believe translates into again. And this is a game designed by Inka and Markus Brand, who are a husband and wife design duo, who've designed a lot of terrific games over the years, games such as La Boca or Village. This is a dice game that is somewhat lighter than some of the stuff that they often design, but it's a game that's similar to games such as Quicks or Quinto, just to name two recent dice games that have you trying to fill out a score sheet as dice are rolled. So this is a game that plays in about 20 minutes or so for 1 to 6 players. The box says ages 8 and up, and I think that seems appropriate. Let me take a minute to show you how the game plays, and then I'll come back and let you know what I think about it. So Noch Mal comes with this set of 6 dice, as well as a set of the score pads. One disappointment is these are only single-sided score pads. I'll probably laminate some anyway, but it is a little disappointing that they're just single-sided. And a number of these little pens, there's 6 of those included, because the game plays from 1 to 6 player. And to show you the rules of the game, I'm going to demonstrate the solo game. So essentially there is this score sheet, which each player is going to get one of these, and you can see that it has rows going from A through O, and each one of those rows is divided up into a number of these blocks, which are of different colors. And so in the solo game, the way it works is you're only going to use 4 of these dice. I'll explain how it would play with multiple players in a minute. But on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to roll the dice, and every time you roll the dice, you're going to put 1 slash in one of these little letter blocks here. So first here, then on your second roll you would slash there, and so on, until, and the game will go until you've slashed 2 checks in each box all the way up through O. So you'll have 30 turns. So I've rolled these dice, and now I essentially have these dice, the X die, which essentially has 6 sides, and there's 5 color sides as well as a black side. The black side's considered wild. And then the numbered die, which goes from 1 through 5, and the question mark is considered wild, and that could be any number from 1 through 5. So on your turn, what you have to do is you have to look at the colors that you've rolled and the numbers that you've rolled, and you choose one of those combinations to check off on your grid. So for example, if I've rolled 4 as well as orange and blue, I could do the blue 4, I could do 4 orange, 2 blue, or 2 orange. So you'll have 4 choices typically. And what you have to do is on your box, in the first turn, you have to check off areas in that first column. You're going to block off exactly the number of one of these combinations and the color of one of these combinations. So for example, if I chose blue 4, I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see there that I blocked off 4 blue, and they were all in the same section. So if I had blue 5, I could not do that because I have to do the exact number, so I wouldn't be able to do 5. I could do 2, for example, and just leave the other 2 undone. But if I had 5, I could not do 4 here and, for example, 1 over here. That's not allowed. You have to do them all within the same contiguous color section. So that would be 1 turn, and essentially what you're going to do is just roll again, and again you'll mark off a block here, and then you will pick another area to go. So once you've marked off your first area, any area that you want to fill in has to be adjacent to an X that's already been filled in. So I no longer have to worry about the center row, but now I have to worry about checking off areas next to this. So here I've rolled a wild color and a red, and I have a 5 and a 4. So what I might choose to do is to block off, let's see, we have a section here of 5 red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's actually 6. That's not great. But here we have 5 yellow. So I can mark that off because I have a wild color. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, since I used a wild, whenever you use a wild as a color or as a number, you have to mark off one of these. If you've marked off all of these, you cannot take wilds anymore throughout the game, so you have to preserve those. So by doing that, you'll notice that I marked off this star here. And there are stars scattered all along the board. At the end of the game, stars that are left revealed will be negative points against you. So essentially the game's going to go like that, and like I said, in the solo game you're going to get 30 turns, and you're going to try to mark off as much as you can in those 30 turns, and then you're going to score. So the way that you're going to score is several fold in. There's a nice little scoring summary over here. First of all, you'll get any bonus points that you get for crossing out all of a single color. So in a solo game, you're just going to get 5 points if you cross out all the boxes of a single color. So if I got every yellow on the entire grid, I would get 5 bonus points, and so on for each color. Next, what you're going to look at is this A through O. As you complete entire columns, you're going to circle the top number there, and you'll get that many points. So if I completed this center column here, column H, I would get 1 point for that. If I completed this end column all the way over here, I would get 5 points for that. The third thing, if you have any wilds left at the end of the game, so there's any of these that you didn't cross off, you'll get 1 point each. And then the last thing is you'll look at how many stars are still not crossed off, and you'll lose 2 points for each of them. So in the game, which only comes with German rules, you'll look then to see in the solo game how well you did, and that will give you a rating. The way that the game differs with multiple players is, first of all, you're going to take turns being first player, and the first player is going to roll 6 dice instead of 4. So when the first player rolls these dice, they are going to choose any 2 that they want. So let's say they take the green and the 3 like this. Now the other players could basically only work with these 4 dice, and they could combine them in any manner, just as if they were playing the solo game. So that's one difference. And then, essentially the dice will pass to the next player, and they will get a turn to roll all 6, pick 2, and then other players will get to cross off using the remaining 4. So that's one thing. The second thing is that the way that these bonuses work. So the column bonuses, if you're the first person to do it, you circle the top number. Any other players who do it on later turns will circle the bottom number. If multiple people do it on the same turn, they could both earn the top bonus. So if I filled in this column here, I would get 1 point. If somebody later, on a later turn, filled in that column, they would get 0 points, and so on. The second thing that you do is that you do not play until a set number of turns. You don't worry about this. The game timer is essentially these bonuses here. So the first person to fill in a color, let's say I fill in all of my yellow, if I'm the first person to do that, or other people do it on the same turn as me, we will get 5 points. Anybody who gets all yellow filled in on a future turn will then be able to take the 3-point bonus. And as soon as a player has gotten 2 of these bonuses, so one player has gotten any 2 of these bonuses, that will initiate the last round. You'll play until each player's had an equal number of turns, so until the dice get back around to the first player, and then you will score the total number of points. So that is basically how you play Noch Mal. Alright, so that is Noch Mal, and this is a really interesting little game. It's a game that you could easily knock out in about 20 minutes. I think that's why they call it again. Generally, the sensation is you'll want to play again as soon as you finish. And it's a game that I think has a lot of interesting decision to make, considering how simple it is, and it's a game that avoids having much downtime. Some dice games do have downtime. You have nothing to do on another player's turn except to wait until they've taken their turn and the dice get back around to you. Here, every turn you're going to have a chance to mark off some boxes on your score sheet, and over the course of the game, your score sheets are going to become remarkably different from one another. I think it's terrific that this game comes with a solo variant. It works very well. It's very engaging as a nice little solitaire puzzle. And it's a game that I think scales nicely all the way up to 6 players. So it's a game that I think would work in most situations. I think gamers would get a kick out of it, although maybe it's not something they'll want to play all night, but certainly families would enjoy this game, and it's a great family game. The game does only come with German rules. I think I did a pretty good job of explaining how it plays. There are some rules translations also on Board Game Geek, and I think that would be enough because none of the components are language dependent. As I did mention, it is a little bit disappointing that the score sheets are only one-sided, especially because right now this is still an import-only game. I got my copy from Amazon.de, the German Amazon site. But you could easily laminate these and reuse them with these, even the markers that they've included. I'm not crazy about these tiny little markers. I think most people would have a number of pencils around, so maybe I think I would have preferred that they just gave you a set of double-sided score sheets and spared you those markers, but I mean, they are functional and they do make the game more portable, so I suppose that is a good thing. But about the game itself, it is a great little dice filler. It's one that I could imagine people enjoying, and it's one that, the game Quicks has really picked up over the last few years. I can imagine this supplementing that game in popularity. So it's a game I would definitely recommend. I only paid about 10 euros or so for it, as well as some shipping to get it in the States, but it was well worth it. I really enjoyed the game. So those are my thoughts on Noch Mal, and thanks for watching.